I'm headed to the climbing gym for a really quick session. It's around 4 p.m. And after I get back, I need to start packing because my flight is tomorrow at 11 a.m. to go back to New York. And I'm kind of feeling so many different emotions about going back. I haven't really decided if I'm excited, nervous, maybe a little bit of just feeling unsettled about it, as I think that transition periods in between, for example, summer and then starting the school year again, can be quite hard. So just kind of seeing how I feel, but I feel excited to try to get in just some fun climbing today. My arms are still pretty sore because I trained for the first time ever a weighted pull-up at my last session, and I added 18 pounds. That was like my max single rep. Well, it was the highest weight I tried and I didn't fail on it, so it felt hard and I didn't want to try anything higher in weight. So I'm just gonna say that 18 pounds is my max for a single rep. And my arms are still sore from that. I took yesterday off, so yeah, we'll just see what I'm able to do today.
Before every climbing session, I do targeted off-the-wall training in order to help me correct some of my biggest weaknesses that I feel are holding back my performance. The number one of which is my back and arm strength. And to work on that, I train pull-ups. I always start with 2 sets of 2. Those are my 2 warm-up sets. Normally when I do bodyweight pull-ups, I then go on to do 2 sets of 6, which are my 2 real sets. But here you can see was the second day that I was doing weighted pull-ups. The dumbbell that I had on there was 18 pounds. I looked for one that was 20 pounds just because I wanted to have a nice round number. But the next size up that they had was 26 pounds, and the 18 pound one already felt really hard. As you can see, I was still just testing for my max single rep. I know it's ideal for weighted pull-up training to do a weight that you can do 3 in a row, like a set of 3 with. So I think for me, that would probably be a weight more in the range of like 13 pounds-ish. I also tested doing pull-ups with the 13-pound dumbbell after that. I don't have a video, and it felt much easier. And as for the climb you're watching right now, this was a really easy V4 that I just burned out on. The one downside of doing pull-up training every day before you climb is that sometimes it zaps your arms so much that you have nothing left to give for your climbing session. Now, my body has totally adjusted to my bodyweight pull-up routine. So even when I do 2 sets of 2 to warm up and 2 sets of 6 for my real sets, it doesn't affect my performance at all when I go on to climb afterwards. Same with hangboarding. Once a week I add on my hangboard training to that warm up with the pull-ups, and it doesn't affect me at all, as I'm just used to it. But since doing weighted pull-ups is so brand new for me, I was feeling the effects so much during this training session and really struggling on climbs that, to be honest, weren't that hard. I just felt weak, and sometimes that's the reality of some sessions where you're so excited to come to the gym and you pull on the stuff and you're like, man, I feel like I can't pull on anything. Now on this climb, what you'll see is that I really couldn't remember the beta. I had tried that climb before, but it had been a long time, and it had been on another day where I'd been wrecked from training. So I wanted to go back to it, and I totally kind of forgot the beta for the top. So now the cool thing about watching me try it multiple times is that now you'll see how I took what I learned from the beta to make decisions more efficiently. I instantly got my foot up. I instantly understood that that was the body position to do this big moving out. I found that move challenging because the pinch that you were going out to was really slopey on the side. It was kind of like a pinch / slopey side pull. This purple is a V5 and it had a really slabby start. Here I am trying to understand what in the heck the beta is. You kind of pull onto this slopey undercling, and your options are you have like a little crimp that you use as a side pull. And then if you go all the way out left, there's essentially a foothold that you can pinch between 2 fingers, which is what I'm doing right here. And your only option is to stand on this volume because there's no feet. So I was basically trying to figure out how to get over to the really big, long purple hold. And eventually, kind of my breakthrough moment was when I realized that if I leaned over far enough, I could reach that hold without like fully having to do some type of a dynamic movement first. I had tried this climb once before in a previous session with more of a dynamic method and found that my foot would always pop straight off the volume. So I felt that static was the way. Here I am realizing that if I press on that undercling sloper and push on the long, skinny purple hold, I could theoretically pull my body up. Now in that clip, I had a foot slip, but I actually did it later, but then I messed up a later sequence. But it was possible, and it was the correct beta. So the biggest thing that I'm working on in my climbing, and the thing that I tell myself every time I'm on the wall, is not hesitating and trying to be efficient. Right there you can see I didn't hesitate. I was pretty efficient, and I got up to a good position for the slopey hold. Again, my arms were tired and I just burned out trying to bump so at this gym, the top of the wall, like both hands on the top of the wall is the finish. So that's why I didn't match and I tried to bump up. I probably should have matched, but my brain cells were not firing at that point. But back to what I was saying, I try to focus on one thing and tell myself that thing in my head as I'm climbing related to whatever weakness I'm trying to correct. So my biggest weakness that I'm trying to correct right now is that I tend to hesitate when I feel uncertain about my ability to stick a move. I always second guess, like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? This feels wrong, this feels hard, I feel kind of scared. And then that little hesitation burns out the energy I could have used to efficiently do the move. And I found that by focusing on just this thing, primarily when I climb, I've been able to make huge strides towards correcting it. So this climb is a green V5. It was really fun and creative. I loved the start kind of required twisting your body around in these various awkward positions, as I just love climbs that are super awkward like this. So it was pretty reachy, and maybe there was another beta, but I didn't see anybody else trying this. So right here, the last time I climbed this, the previous video, you'll notice that I tried to keep my feet on and ended up cutting feet and kind of dropping the hold. But what I learned from that attempt was that cutting feet actually felt like maybe I could hold that. It's just that on the previous attempt, I hadn't been expecting it, so I didn't fully engage my back muscles. Here, I expected to cut feet, I thought about fully engaging my back muscles, and I was able to hold the move. Now, unfortunately, I spent so long swinging around trying to get a foot to stick on that smear that I kind of burned out for the very end. At this point, I took my flight, went to New York, and now I have just this one-off video of my first climb in New York. This is a black V5. It was really fun. It had this big move up to the pocket, which required quite a lot of precision. This was not my first attempt on it. I had tried it like twice before on the same session, and my friend just took a video so I could watch my mistakes. This unwind move was pretty hard for me. Here I thought I stuck it, but then my hand slipped off and I went flying. I think I can send this next time. And now we are getting into kilter board. I was so excited to just have a big long session on the kilter board. This is me warming up on a V3 climb on the kilter. As you should be able to see, the number one thing I'm focusing on here is being efficient and not hesitating on any move. All the climbs you're about to see me do, it's my first time attempting the climb, unless I say otherwise. So these are mostly flash goes. And in the past, I would always waste flash goes by not correctly route reading ahead. And what I learned for myself when it comes to route reading is even for simple climbs, what helps me the most isn't just to try to think about the sequence of hands and feet that I need to do, but to notice where on the climb is there a move. For me, this usually involves any type of big or dynamic-ish move, or a move with a really awkward foot, a move that's going to make me think, maybe I'm doing this wrong, and hesitate. as I said, this is the behavior I'm trying to correct right now in my climbing. So when I root read, what I focus on is where on the climb do I see a move that looks like it's going to feel like that. That way I already have it in my mind ahead of time before I pull on. This move is going to feel weird. Don't hesitate, don't freak out, just keep moving through it with confidence. Pretend you already know it goes. Because I find that a lot of times as soon as I know something goes, it feels really easy. But my hesitation initially makes it feel hard. So at this point, this climb you're looking at is a V4. The last climb was also a V4. I haven't really been discussing these climbs because they were pretty easy and chill, and I was basically just flowing through them for some nice flashes to warm up. This was the one point where I realized I read the route wrong, as I had forgotten that I needed to match there, but luckily, again, I just stuck to the no hesitation. I instantly corrected and bumped my hand to make space for the match and was able to finish the route without an issue. This is a V5 climb. This is the only climb you'll see me do on the kilter that I had previously tried. That move that I just did quite easily was actually really hard for me in the past before I started doing more training to strengthen my back and shoulders. It's a quite powerful shouldery move. This move up with the left hand used to be hard for me because I would hesitate so much because I was scared of fully committing to standing up on my feet. Again, just by telling myself, I know I can hit this move and doing it instantly instead of hesitating, it felt so much easier. This is a V5 that I was trying for the first time this session. What you're going to see here is that, which often happens to me, at first, my mind, as soon as I get on the climb, I forget all the route reading I did and my beta goes out the window. I realized here that I couldn't match and that I needed to go up with the left hand just directly. I had known that originally, but it felt awkward, and so naturally and instinctively my body had just gone up with the right hand. So here I am forcing myself to go up with the left hand. I kind of got confused and thought maybe I should put a high foot, but it actually pushed my butt more out of the wall, and I realized I needed to keep my hips close, so this high foot wasn't helpful. Instead, I decided to just try giving myself a little swing and letting myself dynamically swing out to this hold, and that worked really well. This move, again, just required a bit of a dynamic swing up, nothing crazy. Now here I was really confused. The high left foot felt so awkward because of the angle of the two handholds, and I just really could not figure out what I was doing wrong. I was sitting next to a V10 climber who asked if he could cycle in on the kilter board with me, and he told me that I should try the right foot. I asked him for beta. This was not beta spraying. And sure enough, as soon as I changed up my beta, the move went from feeling basically impossible, you saw how far I was from sticking that before, to really simple. So I attempted this move once off camera, not from the start, just this individual move, and saw that it was pretty easy. But unfortunately, I powered out here on the last move, which is pretty frustrating because I stuck that when I tried it just individually, starting from the middle. So when I have things like that where I'm powering out, what I try to do is take a really long rest, like over 5 minutes, and pull back on. And sure enough, here you can see I was able to pull back on and do the final move just after taking a longer rest. This is a V6 climb. It's the first V6 I've ever tried on the kilter board, as I really haven't done that many kilter board sessions in my life. The left foot is a smear, there's no left foot, and going into that undercling felt terrible because your body is really low when you first grab the undercling, so that makes it quite unideal. Now, the real crux move for me was that bump that you saw with my right hand to the crimp. The problem with the bump for me was that when I bumped my hand up to the crimp, it was far away enough that I couldn't catch it with a full crimp position. I had to catch it with a 3-finger drag. And sometimes I just felt that I was struggling with my finger strength and my hand would pop off the hold when I tried to hold it with the 3-finger drag. Here you'll see me do it again, and I just barely hold on, and when I readjust, I adjust into a full crimp. Now, the reason that I was even able to catch that at all, low percentage, but still that I was able to catch it, is because I've been doing fingerboard training for the past 2 months. I used to basically full crimp every single hold on the wall. I would even full crimp slopers, and if you're thinking that's impossible, that's what other people in the gym would say when they saw me doing this. But once I started doing fingerboard training, I saw improvement so fast. I used to not be able to hang from the hangboard on a 2-finger pocket, so like both hands in 2-finger pockets. I couldn't hang at all on the hangboard. So I would hang with my feet on the ground, just putting as much weight on my hands as felt comfortable. And within 1 month, I could do a 10-second hang on the 2-finger pockets. I also was able to move on to hanging off of smaller edges that I previously couldn't hang off, that now I can hang off for 10 seconds. So here I am basically having some issues with the middle. Like I said, that move was pretty low percentage for me. I would think to myself as I went for it, pull your hips into the wall. That way it creates less drag on your 3 fingers. And at this point I was getting really fatigued. It was end of session, and you can see this start move, which was really powerful, I just messed it up. So here I am pulling back on. I later found out that all the other climbers didn't start it the same way that I did, and the other guys who were doing the kilter board with me, they had climbed this before, but they had started by going out right instead of going to the underclink first. And like I said, the underclink felt terrible, so it kind of makes sense to me why they did that, but for me the move was too reachy. There I am, catching the jump, but then having my hand slide off. I actually stuck this move again off camera, but I stuck this move just trying it from the middle, so I know the move is fully possible,